Pretty interesting. Even my dad saw it on the news. He was like, "Oh, did you know a Unabomber died?" I was like, "Yeah, we've already held a vigil."
Okay, it appears I started streaming.
Wonderful.
I'm
Let's
gonna put
see.
this out on the. I'm gonna put this out on the what is it? Gonna put this out on all the platforms, all the telegrams, the twitters. Uh, let's see if people are in the chat.
No one is just me.
It's just you for right now.
Yeah.
Um, hold on, gotta. Bobby, this is what makes the dissident right the dissident right. All right, um, very poor in terms of quality, and not so much in terms of quality of what's discussed, but in quality of like professionalism, audio content, playing video games. This is the real dissident right here.
Uh, yeah, but professionalism isn't set in stone. Professionalism is a what is it? It's an omnibus of various contracts and ideals. It doesn't come from like I don't know, from the ether. It comes from a specific place in time, specific place in history, specific people made it, and we're not those people.
Hmm.
And that's why you see this kind of rejection of professionalism. Now, of course, a lot of systems are just going to stop functioning if there's no professionalism. Like Sicily, no one can respect the time. Uh,
Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, posted it up on Twitter.
well,
Posted up.
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna address that real
Wonderful.
quick. I'm gonna address that real quick though because
Yeah.
and then I'll pull it up right here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Bobby and I are streaming later in the day today. Much later for Bobby. Although I'd say it's equally as later for Bobby and me because but like Bobby's much later than I am. Um, you know, Bobby was talking about how professionalism earlier. I want to address that real quick before I do the actual introduction. Of course, we've got a good stream if we're autistically addressing topics before actually doing the introduction. But I mean, yeah, that's fair enough. The idea of professionalism as being like super high quality and all that is kind of just a product of one era, and to worship it is in many ways a strange kind of paganism. Bobby, the heuristic, one of the most helpful heuristics I've ever been given by Christopher Sambach is paganism is simply the worship of history. That's all it is, and it really has opened up all sorts of ways of looking at things. Paganism, and paganism isn't just like you're in the woods like worshiping a Votan statue or whatever. It's like, in all honesty, not wanting to say the N word as like this point. Basically, the entirety of white people's civic religion. You know what we're talking about? This is kind of like
Wow.
Sambach says the essence of whiteness is the idea of a civic religion. You know,
Yeah, but civic religion is not necessarily paganism, or it's not always paganism.
not always, but the thing is, anything that is not explicitly of Christ is paganism.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
Christianity incorporates civic religion in itself.
it
It
does.
uses writing. It uses the kind of habits of those people. It understands their languages. It understands what they are doing. Really, it's like it understands history. I don't know about like worshiping history. Probably doesn't worship history, right? But
Anything. Well,
like
go ahead.
I wouldn't say necessarily that not saying the N word is paganism, because like I mean, would you say that blasphemies are paganism then?
What do you mean by blasphemies? Like,
Well, here's where we come up on a very interesting topic. So, in Italian language, you have two types of swear words. You have the normal swear words, cazzo, minchia, merda, etc. Right? But then you also have the bestemmia, which is the kind of blasphemy swear word that you don't say. And people are like, oh, no bestemmiare. Right? They say, don't say these words there. And this they're like they're stupid if you just translate them, and there's not really an equivalent of those in Russian or really in English, but probably there used to be. I mean, there's the "do not take God's name in vain."
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit different. Here they call God the pig. Here they call like Madonna a whore, all that stuff. And Venetians are infamous in this.
What?
Well, that exists, and it's kind of like the N word for the Italians.
The most what is it? The most atheistic Luciferian Italian subgroup is infamous for blaspheming God. Who could have thought?
Well, but I wouldn't say that it's paganism. And there's because if you say the worship of language is paganism, or I don't know, maybe giving importance to a language is paganism, that's kind of weird because, well, there's prayers, right? There's the Lord's Prayer, and the Lord's Prayer is it's very specific. Or at least it has these specific beats, that you have to repeat, and that means that there's importance given to them.
Well,
so if there is, yeah.
Well, ahead. I come from a really low church. At least right now, I'm redoing all of my theological understanding, but I'm not like a cringe walker. Cringe walker would agree with you that the intonation of the beats is important, but the low church Baptists kind of hold that actually the Lord's Prayer doesn't really mean anything other than any other prayer. They're very iconoclastic in that regard, in the sense that it's like genuine affection is not rote ritual, and they have all sorts of scriptural arguments in favor of that. They don't like anything that smacks of the temple. They don't like anything that smacks of a ritual. They don't like anything like that. They still have rituals, but they're very like self-aware that they are doing them. For example, the primary disagreement with, let's say, the tradition I'm in as of right now, as opposed to, say, the Catholic or the Eastern Orthodox or even the Anglican tradition, is that the Baptist low church, which is also an English tradition, don't get me wrong, this sort of Calvinist low country, low church tradition is very English. It's also North German. They kind of hold that the Lord's Supper, you are not physically receiving the body and blood of Jesus Christ. You are remembering that he sacrificed his body and blood. But it's just an act of memory. It's a memorial. It's not like you are. And this is what's called transubstantiation. I'm not going to get into this right now. I'm just saying this is what the Baptists believe. Other low church is that.
Would Ryan disagree with you?
No, Ryan would 100% disagree with me. Yes, Ryan would 100% disagree with me, because the Lutherans believe that you physically receive the body and blood of Jesus Christ.
He'd come into your house and hit you over the head with a baseball bat.
He would, but the thing is like, Ryan, I'm not a Lutheran. That's what I'd say to him, and that's what I have said to him. Like, that's not my tradition. It's not my people. It's not my church. My father's adoptive family were German Lutherans, but knowing what I know, I don't wish to particularly follow that tradition.
No, I'm definitely I think in line with the importance of the ritual, and that there are things that need to be unchanged, that their meaning is in their reproduction. It's not just in like, oh well, this means something else, and this means what it means. And I don't know what the transubstantiation, like I don't think I've ever thought that far. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. It will be difficult for me to truly believe that I'm consuming or sharing the flesh and blood of Christ. Like I would need to have a lot of kind of brain loops for that. I could say that, well, since I am a person that was created by God at some point, and that there is a continuous line between my ancestors and me, then I am already kind of flesh and blood. But then there's the problem that like, oh well, why do I have to do the communion? But I don't know. It's theology, and I think once we have Ryan here, and he could actually explain to us everything,
Wait,
then
are you
that could
inviting?
work.
Wait, did you invite Cringe Walker or Turnip Sneed, or did you invite
No,
both of
no,
them?
no, no. I did not invite Turnip Seed. No, I invited Cringe Walker. He'll be here when he's here. It'll be out when it's out, people. It'll
Yeah,
be out
ladies
when
and
it's out.
gentlemen, for those of you watching, we're going to be joined by. I look. He changes his name so fucking often that I don't even bother keeping up with
Oh,
it
I don't
anymore.
know. Is it like Oddfoot Templar
It's like
or
El
something?
Templar or whatever it is now. Like, look, he's
Yeah.
always going to be Cringe Walker. Hate to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, but this is why, Bobby, I'm always against rebranding. Okay, I'm always against rebranding in all circumstances, unless you're totally irrelevant. All right, because
Hmm.
my
Yeah, I was
buddy,
thinking about pushing the rebranding on Kazapound, but then I realized, man, you know what? They've got a turtle. They've got a cute, memorable name. Although I don't like that when you shorten it's a CP, which at this point just means everything. It means control point, means cheese pizza. It means
means some other things.
something points. Yeah, all that stuff. It just, but whatever. No one says it like that. No one says it like CP in Italian. People say it. People just say cup or Kazapound, which
Yeah, no,
it works.
my whole thing, my whole thing is just, my whole thing is just, freaking keep your name. Be very careful when you pick a name for yourself, especially if you enter the online space, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to be stuck with it, and it doesn't matter if you're successful or not successful. Like, for example, case in point.
Sargon.
Well, yeah, everyone calls him Sargon still. I don't care that
It
he's.
really calls him Sargon.
Yeah, like we all knew him as Carl Benjamin too, but we're not like Carl Benjamin was really a second name, but everyone calls him Sargon because when people look at the avatar on however many hours of content of you that they consume, and they see this voice emanating from behind this avatar, and it's always this weird sort of feeling when you meet someone in real life and you have to kind of reconcile the avatar with their face, and every time you look at their face you always see a little bit of the avatar in it, and vice versa. You look at the avatar, you start to see little bits of their face in it because your brain has to do that shit. So be very. I was very careful and meticulous as to how I chose to brand myself when I started doing this. I wanted to kind of hit like the sort of southern, not so much southern, but more of just like the genteel gentry tradition. And my first PFP back when I was a pagan, it was William Byrd II with the face of Shiva on it. And I've hence changed it. And here's the other thing: all good brands, especially if it's a person, you can find ways to rebrand it, to change it, right? Whether it's self-conscious or not. And I mean, when I changed my PFP to the color scheme of the life and suffering of Sir Bronte, um, I mean, it kind of brought about a whole new nature to the work I was doing. So your brand really does mean a lot, and that's why I'm against rebranding. A good example of when it goes bad is my good friend Grant Brooks used to be called Calvin Wendell Spader, and I still call him Spader. I don't call him Grant Brooks. I call him although that's his public appearance and all that. It's just and he asked me, should I do this, and I told him no. Don't do it. He
Well,
did it anyway.
speaking of gentry and rebranding, John Milton, he's rebranding himself as a Lotless now.
It's so
So
true. It's
let's
so
go
true.
ahead.
Yeah,
Let's continue his journey.
we've been sitting here talking for fucking 15 minutes.
Go ahead. Oh, it's a great introduction. Go.
Okay, what is it?
Youth, 18. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so to bring our viewers back up to speed, last time we had John Milton publish a bunch of pamphlets because that's what John Milton would do to set up this basically leftist march that he's about to go on. And we were helping Sophia try to compose a list of the people to invite. What is it? And we decided to invite the elites and not the rabble. We chose priests who have criticized the lots or sided with Patriarch Junius. For the nobles, we only choose those who lost family members or whatever. We've been up till early in the morning. I don't trust that Faber. His brother got executed, sure, but everybody knows they were never on good terms. Levitt's out too. He spoke in support of Patriarch Junius, but he'll never march with the lowborn. What is it? Yeah, so we're pruning our list. We're making sure, we're good old, leftist, revolutionary, lotless, whatever. Go get some sleep. There won't be much time for that in the weeks to come. Wow. Look, John Milton's simping right now, Bobby. He says, you watch her walk away in the morning light, amazed at how strong she is. A few years ago, she was just
cringe.
Yeah, super fucking cringe. Yeah, I can see that the fucking devs were like, hey, let's just make this like what we think the West is. So true. But we got a bump to diplomacy and theology, so The capital is preparing for a great celebration, the coming of age of Jarian Tempest, heir to the throne. Ribbons and flags flutter in the wind, streets are scrubbed clean, and the scent of flowers fills the air. You, too, set some time aside to join the celebration. It is not often that you can see the ruling family of the Empire firsthand. The celebration day comes, and Eterna is abuzz. A festive procession starts on the streets. Students from the college and cadets from the military academy march in front, lined up in columns, and other citizens follow suit. Sweet. Other citizens follow suite. They should have gotten rid of the E, but it's okay. You join the parade. Part of this is so I hope the devs of Sir Bronte eventually watch this at some point and they see my various critiques of their English translation. They never will.
It's not bad. It's actually really good. It's very pleasant. I'd say, yeah, there's some problems. There's the gentry question. But other than that, they have a few errors. It doesn't feel as if it was written by an ESL, English as a second language person. It actually does feel like someone native or someone with a very good grasp of English translated.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to sit here and make the perfect be the enemy of the good. It's just, I'm sitting here making fun of myself for making fun of the dev's English translation.
Yeah, I get it. It's gentry. Whatever.
Yeah. But celebration comes, cool procession. The ruling dynasty of Tempests observes the parade from the palace balcony. They are joined by the Empire's highest dignitaries and province overseers. For the first time in your life, you see Emperor Uther II with your own eyes there high above. The columns of college students and and academy cadets come to a halt at the balcony and salute the Emperor with their mottos. The Emperor raises his hand in a gesture of benevolent greeting. Then his voice echoes across the square. You can hear him easily, even from so far away. I accept your gratitude, my loyal subjects. Take pride as you wield your knowledge and valor in service to the Empire. All who are worthy will be ennobled by the mantle, by my grace. The nobles-to-be cheer the Emperor's words, but then Archduke Monroe steps onto the balcony, and their jubilation gives way to murmurs of discontent. Everyone here remembers all too well how the ruler of Monia tried to shut down the college by force. Still, the Archduke is the de facto leader of the Arknian gentry. He is a force to be reckoned with, even for the Emperor. Hail your Emperor Common... I forgot what voice I gave him.
Okay. No. I think we just did one rogue normal, a little bit French. I think I actually
you did
voiced him last time,
you
right?
Did it. You voiced him.
The game is called Sir Bronte. We actually have to put it in the title next time. I think that would help.
I did. That would help. In the title. It's in the title.
John Milton pays his respect to Uncle Ted.
Oh, my bad.
John Milton is not the title of the game. It's the life and suffering of John Milton. The life and suffering of Sir Bronte. So hail your Emperor, common folk. Be forever obedient and grateful for the good graces you do not deserve by birth.
Okay, and then we. But then everyone grows silent. A young, slender Arcanian with a shy smile comes forth. There are whispers in the crowd. That's Prince Geryon, heir to the throne, student of Cornelius, promise and hope of the common estate. To the left of Geryon is his younger brother, Flavius. He is baffled at the sight of the parade below, too young to process what he is seeing. May the twins... Oh, hold on. What voice am I going to...
No, I just send it to you. Don't worry. It's later. It's for when Cringe Walker comes on, because we apparently can't make a 3-way chat. We have to we'll just go into one of my servers. It's fine.
No, it's all good. I was just saying, what voice were we gonna give this dude?
Yo,
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
let's see.
We're gonna.
Jarian Tempest. No, just do him normally for now. Just kind of mind the punctuation.
Mind the
That's
punctuation.
good. Yeah.
May the twins be kind to you, my future subjects. I promise to repay you in kind and help you prosper in your loyal service to the Empire. Exalted by these words, the nobles-to-be roar as one. All hail Prince Geryon. Another figure steps into view next to the heir. He is an Arcanian, elegantly dressed, and his mantle bears the Tempest colors. He raises his arms, about to make a speech. Oh, it's Gaius Tempest. Long live Prince Geryon, students of the college, cadets of the academy. Time and again, you have proven yourselves to the Empire by word and deed. Today is a day of great celebration, and in honor of Prince Geryon, you must ask the Emperor to guarantee forever the right of distinguished common folk to be ennobled by the mantle. So ask now. Oh boy, we're all watching a power play.
Yeah, everyone's going to ask.
The cadets
and no one will get anything.
The cadets and students freeze in hesitation. They exchange glances, unsure whether to follow the words of the Emperor's own brother. On the balcony high above, Prince Geryon also remains still, listening to every reaction from the crowd. Archduke Monroe briskly steps into view once more. He takes several seconds to observe the crowd before he speaks. Agarius Monroe. Imperial subjects, what the Emperor's brother wishes to say is that you must always remember that you owe your status to the Tempest dynasty. The Emperor accepts your gratitude and sends you off with his blessing. You may leave now. Commotion and murmurs spreads over the crowd as some of the nobles-to-be refuse to follow Archduke Monroe's order. There are shouts heard here and there. The law! We ask for the law! The academy officers and teachers of the college urge them to fall in line and resume the parade, but tension is rising. The crowd slowly grows enraged and unruly.
They made a little mistake here. It's not the law, we asked for the law, because it is as if they were asking like for the police or something. They want a law. They want him to write a law that says, oh, well, you know, people from this caste can enter this caste, and so on. And he's just talking, right? In fact, in the Russian kind of original script, they use a word. They use a specific word that they want it to be written. They don't just want them to talk.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So there is. Okay. Well, has that ever happened? Like in real life, like when you have just two people get on stage, both of them are in power, and they say completely contrary things to one another.
I mean, not off the top of my head. I'm sure it's happened. I guarantee you it's happened. You know, but I just don't know off the top of my head. You know, I mean, sometimes John Adams and George Washington would get into disagreements, I think, publicly. I don't know off the top of my head something like that, why that would be. If that would be a, how can I say, if that would be a thing. In short, I don't know. In other words,
Okay.
I don't
Let's
know.
go ahead.
I'm sure it's happened. An Imperial Guard cavalry regiment, that's a pretty rare 40k army, emerges from the palace. They start slowly advancing on the crowd, hands on their swords, pushing people out of the square. The commoners are now running left and right. You too have to move away. This quickly quells the commotion in the square and the cavalry withdraws. Emperor Uther II appears on the balcony again. Archduke Monroe stands by his side. The square falls silent at the sight of the sovereign. My subjects, I can see how overjoyed you are for Prince Jerian, but your show of reverence and gratitude was clear enough. Now obey my will. Continue the parade and sing the praises of the Tempest dynasty that has given you so much. The square obediently lines up in columns once again. The bout of defiance is in the past now, and they resume the festive parade through the city streets. Glory to Emperor Uther, glory to Prince Jerian. And Power Seer, or what is it? Power is going down. Or what was it? Actually, no, it was a, what is it? No, Power. Power is a bit back in favor of the old nobility.
Speaking of power, so 2 days ago, I went to like the first investor plus startup meeting in Sicily for Sicilian startups and Sicilian funds, Sicilian investors, and the mayor of Palermo spoke at the meeting. He was like a mix between Trump and Tony Blair. And he was kind of furious because, well, he thought that it was all bullshit, like that people had no idea what to do with startups, and said that, like, well, startups die. Why are we having them compete with each other? They have a mortality rate of like 99%. You know, what are we doing? Are we imitating Israel? You know, Israeli startups just grow and then they get sold off to America. We don't want to do the same thing. And then he said that, like, well, we should all centralize. You know, you shouldn't have 100 opportunities, you should have 2. There should be no distinction between universities and investors. Or there should be no there should be no, there should be no difference between going to one department and going to the other department. People should just be able to talk immediately to anyone. And yeah, he had this like half an hour speech, very, very furious speech about the value of centralization. And it was kind of very interesting because he was without text. You know, he didn't have any paper in front of him. He just came out there and just fucked everyone up, basically. And yeah, and I thought that, man, if, you know how I got into that meeting, by the way?
How?
There were like 50 people there. Well, me and my dad, we just dressed up real nice and we said we were investors from Dubai and they let us in.
That's all you need to do.
That's all you need to do. Just
look good.
You need to look good. Yeah, you need to look good. You need to and I mean, I wasn't even really that confident because I was kind of, nervous. But my dad was like, oh yeah, we're from Dubai. And I'm like, yeah, we're from Dubai. And then they gave us a little card and I entered and we sat next to the mayor. And then we talked to a bunch of like investors and startup people. And this is like 18th century, basically. People don't even know what a pitch is. The guy that was presenting everything, right? One of the 2 hosts, he was like, oh yeah, guys, well, there's such a thing as an elevator pitch. Well, it's when Americans go up in their skyscrapers and then they have a lift and they go into it and they tell each other like beautiful stories and they only have 3 minutes for it. So we're giving you 3 minutes. And people came in and they had like hours-long presentations. One guy described an entire like chain of processes that he needed to accomplish in order to refine and recycle this thing and then get zero waste, this material. He only managed like 1 or 2 pages. This was an autistic engineer. And the guy's like, beep, 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 beep. Well, your time is up, but I'll give you a minute or 2. And he couldn't do shit. 1 or 2 minutes. Can you imagine that, Paul?
It kind of tells me that Americans, I kind of take for granted that every American is a salesman. because I'm just surrounded by it. But like then you tell me stories about like the Sicilian startup conference, and I'm just imagining what it would be like if I went to Sicily and just started any business and anything, and just like, you know, just because I know how to, I come from an America. That's what I'm imagining. I'm like, holy shit, yeah, I guess it is 18th century. And maybe that's just a Sicily thing. Maybe it's just because Sicily is just like, you know, nothing ever happens in Sicily, chud face. But who knows? Bobby, can you hear me? Chat, can you still hear me? Hold on, maybe Bobby left because we had to hop out.
Hey, I'm back.
Oh, okay,
I'm
he's
back.
here.
Oh, yeah, because my internet died on my computer, or had a little.
Oh, Luther.
Yes.
Anyway, Cringe Walker is in the Cringe
Yes,
Walker's in it.
Cringework is the server, so let's go to the server.
Yeah. Give me a second.
Oh, look.
All right. We're back. We're back. Let's see.
Yes.
We're live right now.
What do we call? What do we call you, Cringewalker?
I don't care.
I'm just gonna call you.
Well, can we like call you like Dave or Sam or something?
Okay. Can y'all hear Cringe Walker?
People can, because you know, if they can hear me. Or also you can check it out on our
Yeah, I'll check it. I'll
YouTube
check it
stream.
in our little
Yeah.
our little thing. Cringe Walker, could you start talking real quick for me?
Test.
Okay, yeah, no, we're all good. People should be able
Wonderful.
I didn't know you were waiting for me.
No, you're
Yeah,
all good.
we were already playing the Vidya. We got yeah, it's wonderful. Let's see, Paul, can you do? Yeah.
I was nothing.
Well, look, you can look at the screen. You can go to Paul Fahrenheit's YouTube channel, and you can, you know, look at the stream, so you can read some stuff too. Maybe we'll even voice some characters.
We've been Cringe Walker, you ever play this game?
Nope.
It's called.
I know nothing about this.
Okay, Paul, do a quick little like.
Did Bobby just drop a DM on you like, hey, can you join me and Paul for a stream with no further context?
I saw you play this game like 3 weeks ago, but I haven't been keeping up.
Oh yeah, I've been playing it every week with Bobby for maybe about 1-2 hours every week. Yeah, it's a nice little game.
Well.
It's like a combination sort of visual novel with like some
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah, with like some gameplay stuff in it, which I like, you know. And so it's, you know, we're sitting here in this world that was invented. That was the game was written by Russians, but basically it's like a quasi Renaissance sort of 30 years war civilization, where basically the lower social orders are starting to gain agency and the nobles are starting to become degenerate. And we are playing as Solemn Providence, Ultra Calvinist John Milton. We are currently basically a leftist putting together a leftist revolt against the ruling order, because it's
leftists.
It's the Calvinist thing to do.
We're like religious leftists, like more religious than now, or I guess we should say Christian leftists.
We're basically Puritans.
Yeah, there's no doubt that God exists in this world. It's the twins, and you die. You can die up to 3 times in your life, and then you get to meet them. And well, they're very good, or they're very interesting. And Paul thinks that they're Calvinist. You know, he's kind of more of a Calvinist part of the game. But the game is Christian. And this is one of the very, very few games, or even very, very few pieces of media that is very positive about religion, like classical religion. So it's highly replayable and very weird. And good kind of weird.
Yeah. And Bobby and I mostly just go on these large autistic tangents throughout the majority of the stream and keep our listeners and viewers sitting here watching the same slide the entire time.
Well, yeah. But we decided on 2 hours. We're gonna do 2 hours. We'll play. We'll get attached to a certain phrase or a certain sentence, and then we'll talk about it for a bit. And so I guess, can you, everyone knows who you are, Cringe Walker, but I'd like to have like some good name to call you by.
The Twitter name's fine.
Yeah. What's your Twitter name?
Ale Templar.
Oh, come on. Let's go. Let's do something good. I'm Bobby. That's Paul. Come be off Templar.
Well, I don't know. Rothbard sounds kind of cool.
Rothbard. We'll call you Rothbard. Let's go. Yeah, we got Rothbard. Well, Rothbard. So I have a personal question for you. Since I heard you talk about time once in a very interesting stream about cosmos, I had a very interesting idea, or I guess my dad had one. Well, there's another guy who's telling you should be called Yankee, but I'd say Rothbard.
Yankee dude all day.
Yeah.
He's not even a Yankee, guys. He's an Ellis Islander.
Well,
yes, I will remind everyone. Ellis Island is a Catholic institution, and we will win.
It's just not true. It just will not happen. Bob, are you using my stream as an excuse to ask Cringe Walker all of these autistic questions?
No, it's not just a question. It's a very good question, but I couldn't ask it of you because you're made for different things. We all have our lots in life. Very important part of the game, right? And your lot is to be the history man, the war religion type man, right?
War religion.
But yeah, not quite blood for the blood god, but close.
Yeah,
but still,
close.
you're very good, Paul. But Cringe Walker, I heard that he is he's closer to someone like Old Hype.
Who?
Old Hype, Alternative Hypothesis.
I don't know who that is.
Oh shit! What do you mean Ryan Falk?
I'm not terminally online. I literally know no one.
well, the kind of the study or the paper called. What's it called? It's called Leaving the Cathedral, on the expertise of experts.
I don't read. Sorry.
Oh, that sucks. Damn. Well, anyway,
I don't read anything from the 21st century because the 21st century bores me to no end.
Very interesting. Well, okay. So here's a good question for you. What is virtual reality for someone not in the 20th century?
The virtual reality, it depends. Is something on your face or not?
What do you mean something on your face? Well, something on your face doesn't denote, virtual reality. I mean, a bee can be on your face. That doesn't mean that you enter.
Well, if you're experiencing the internet on a screen, there's an experiential difference than in a VR headset.
Oh, what's the difference then?
Well, I should probably eventually write a Substack about this, but
go ahead.
The human species grew up around fires and stories around fires, and for the longest time, human civilization was essentially just a family gathered at either around a fire or a table by a fire. And there's something about a fire that always makes people more open and willing to talk, because that's basically where you were designed to have confession essentially, and that was like that for up until around the year 2000, when the iPhone was invented and the screen became something that everybody looks at the most. Computer screens existed before that, but only a niche gamer population stared at screens for that long. After 2007, it was the general population that stared at screens always. And that shift from orange light with people to blue light alone has some serious psychological ramifications. And I've babbled so long about this, I forgot why I was talking about this. Can you remind me?
Because I asked you, what was virtual reality like for someone not of the 20th century? Or prior to the 20th century?
Oh, well, I guess in the past it would have been the dream world, right?
What do you mean by dream world?
Well, you dream a virtual world, a world that didn't exist in reality. Or it didn't exist as as a physical, concrete thing, but rather as thoughts and electrical impulse.
Well,
And eventually we got lazy and moved.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
No, continue.
Well, eventually we got lazy with using our own brains, and we made machines think for us.
Here's the question. Here's the big
Age
question.
of Aquarius shit right now.
Here's the big question. Does time flow differently in the virtual world? And if you could manipulate it, if you could slow it down, or if you could slow down the movement of someone, would their body respond in physically to it? Could you, for example, age someone slower or faster depending on his virtual reality parameters?
Yes, there's the wonderful, awful drug of nutmeg. If you have about a tablespoon or two of nutmeg, your perception of time will radically slow down. And if you do this, if you're stupid enough to do this, don't do this because it tastes awful and you will choke on it. You will beg for death by the end of the first hour, and it will feel like a week went by, but it's still the first hour, and it will just not end.
Not like drugs. Not like drugs. I'm not talking about drugs.
Drugs influence the virtual perception of reality.
Yeah. What if you took drugs and then what if you took nutmeg and then went into a VR chat server where everything was slowed down? What would happen then?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if I want to test that thesis.
we should check it out. You know,
Bobby,
well, you'd already be going slower. So in a slower, you'd go even slower. You want the VR to go faster.
Mm-hmm. Bobby, why would you want the VR to go faster?
All of these ideas.
What?
Bobby's given the Antichrist all of these ideas.
I'm not an Antichrist. I am a pro-Christ.
No, I'm saying Bobby is giving the Antichrist who's listening to us right now all of these
ideas. I don't think so.
Paul, you know the crazy bioengineering experiments I do that are inevitably going to catch I'm going to catch a bullet from the Clintons, probably.
Yeah, something
Motherfucker, like Mr. Rothbard, when are you making my all-terrain giant spiders that you can ride?
Can you can you fucking not do like Bobby? Can you for 5 minutes not create the most like obscene eldritch horror?
That's amazing. That's amazing. I don't want to have a horse. I don't want to have a car. I don't want to have a mule. I want to have an ATV spider, rideable spider, big one, giant
fucking
one, that goes in the countryside. Because then you don't need roads. You don't need fucking pollution or whatever. You don't need it just eats like little people. You can like grow lotless people or whatever, or like lotful people.
Oh.
Right?
Can I just go back to like eternal medieval stasis, please? I don't want to. I don't want to think.
But
about
it is
this.
medieval. It's just like we don't have horses. We have giant ATV spiders, rideable spiders.
You know, I was just reading this article about this team of researchers who took a vial of yeast, and without any genetically engineering, they purposely selected the yeast that were most willing to clump up together over successive generations. And after 2 years, the yeast had formed organs and started becoming multicellular.
Wow.
Purely from selection criteria, from human impression. No genetic engineering, just selection criteria. So these things can happen very quickly if you put the effort in. If you want your giant spiders, find some spiders, grow them, kill the smallest ones every generation, and you will have your giant spiders within a few years.
Yeah, but then they won't be rideable.
They can be rideable.
No, like so a horse likes when you ride it, you know.
No, it doesn't. It gets a backache and hates you. It's only trained to say it's good.
Lies. It loves it. It has a fucking small ass brain, size of a peanut or whatever. It has only 2 parts of the brain. One is I like humans.
Do you know what breaking a horse involves?
Yeah. Breaking a horse. A horse is made to be broken. It's an animal.
That's why you have to break it.
It is. No. Listen, you can't break a person in like an hour. That's very difficult, but you can't
break a horse in an hour either.
Yeah, you can. There's like this, look, you get Chuck Norris. You get a horse, you get a white room.
This isn't Red Dead Redemption 2, all right? No, like breaking a horse requires requires weeks sometimes of effort.
Well, whatever. Anyway, we engineer the horse. A horse looks cute. We like horses. It's in our big brain.
Shit.
It's like, oh, like horse, little girl. I want to ride the horsey. Stuff like that.
Oh.
So, anyway,
can we stop like creating Eldritch horrors and go back to playing?
Speaking about horses, look at this. So, what's happening right now in the game? Well, we got to the big city, right?
So
Go ahead, Paul.
There was a thing with the emperor and his brother and this like head of the nobles had this like little political play with each other where the emperor's brother, who's the overseer, wanted the commons and the basically about to be nobles, not nobles yet, but about to be, wanted them to demand a law enshrining their right to enter the nobility through imperial award, right? They want a law basically ensuring that the emperor has to award nobility to the lower classes. And so the overseer, like the prime minister, said, yeah, let's do that. But this other dude who was the head of the noble faction was like, are you fucking serious right now? And like there was a whole power play in the middle of this like royal celebration. The emperor's like, okay, everyone go back to doing what you were doing. Just ignore all of this. So that's what's currently happened. We don't care about either of them, of course, because we are leftist revolutionaries. Long live the revolution. True Anglo-Marxist, solemn ultra-Calvinist, solemn Providence playthrough. John Milton. John Milton and right now he's receiving letters from his father. His father just hates him. His father's super disappointed in him.
Yeah, because we instead of studying at school, we stopped studying at school and implemented we just went to marry a whore. We didn't marry her. We were like a simp for her. We're drinking her little bathwater. Gave her a girl, and she's also a wizard, right? She's a mage. So it's a double whammy.
Yeah.
Good lord. This is reminding me of a game you guys have to play next after this.
Which one?
Dishonored.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but Dishonored isn't as cool, for our format.
It's awesome.
Anyway, it's awesome. I've completed it multiple times.
Bobby, there's a game I want to play live. It's a very Catholic game. It's called Hard West. It's like this weird combination between XCOM and it's like a Wild West XCOM with its own mechanic. It's a really nice little niche sort of game with all of these weird themes in them. But I really like it and I want to play it at some point.
Not a bad idea. We'll do it after this one.
I learned how to code in Godot, so if you guys want to make a game and make some money, let me know.
Well, you see, Mr. Cringewalker, I want to make money from doing something that's not gay. So, because I legit
programming, writing code, fucking cringe.
I genuinely believe that the way you make your money actually determines like how your money is able to be.
A girl walks into your room, sees you coding, she kills you. She murders you.
I didn't say I was coding. Mm-hmm. I have a ChatGPT clone that codes for me. I just tell it what I want.
Oh shit!
Yeah, no.
Then you can't say he's gay. Then it's like the
I've written an entire. I've gotten a AI to write me an entire VR environment, and it works. It's kind of impressive.
Well, look. Then, hey, Paul, this is like the Russian prison thing, where like the person that fucks the other person isn't gay, and the other person is like an untouchable and whatever.
You're making me blaspheme, Bobby.
So essentially, Mr. Rothbard just lowered, in prison slang, the AI, opustil the AI, which is, well, it's ridiculous.
Anyway, Robert Bronte is telling me right now that my brother is better than me and that he's able to do society balls and stuff like that, and how he's advancing in high society. But my sister says my brother Stefan is looking more and more like grandfather. Stefan is a lot like grandfather. It's in his manners, his posture, his voice. He even dresses just like him. He used to be aloof around me, and we barely talked in the past, but now he always blames me and tears me apart. I can't take it anymore. He walks all over me all the time and treats me like a housemaid. Mother writes to you. From her letters, you learn that Nathan just barely managed to graduate from school. It makes me sad to admit that Nathan has none of the talents you have. The other day he told me he won't even try to study in the capital. He says he won't be able to pass the exams. I find solace only in the nights Nathan and I spend together reading the scriptures and our walks to the church by the silver tree. He accompanies me every time.
Yeah, Nathan is literally me.
Yes, neat brother.
Yeah, neat brother.
Your sister and younger brother write about Mother too, and they say the same thing about her health. She now spends more time locked away in her chambers to brood. Literally me. Gloria does her best to accompany Mother when she leaves home, and Nathan's letters mention her steps echoing in the halls in the middle of the night. There is one more thing Nathan mentions in his letters. Stefan and Gloria have been fighting very often these days. Well, yeah, I heard that. Stefan always tries to get under Gloria's skin, and she answers him in kind. Then Stefan calls her a lowly commoner to make her shut up. You always tremble in excitement each time you see a new letter with the seal of your home province. Your fate is still bound tightly to your families, no matter the distance between you. So yeah, Stefan hates us. Gloria, I don't know why fucking Gloria hates us, but she hates us, I guess. Nathan hates us. Damn. They all hate us.
Well, she doesn't hate us like affection still.
This is the morning you have all.
But this is the March of the Colors, baby. We're committing terrorism.
So true.
All American patriots must take up arms against the government. What was it? The passphrase go. Where we go one, we go all.
All patriots go. Activation phrase Ronald McDonald.
Activation phrase Ronald.
Now is the time for all true American militiamen to take up arms against the.
Yeah, exactly. So March of the Colors.
This is the morning you have all been preparing for. One of the houses in downtown Eterna is packed with a crowd of people. Everybody puts collars on their necks. There are not enough for everyone, so the rest of them cover their necks with scarves and belts and anything else that looks dark against the skin. There are so many faces, even faces you have never seen before. People of all estates have come here today. You flow out onto the street. People keep coming to join the crowd even as you start walking. There are shouts in the crowd now. Our cause is just. That's a stupid fucking catchphrase. I said it last week. These words fill you with confidence, help you remain composed. Everyone is smiling. You march in the front row. The feeling is indescribable. Change is coming. The square is already covered with stacks of firewood for pyres. You see people in collars tied to wooden stakes with inquisitors busy around them. The fiery execution is almost ready to begin. Your path is blocked. Imperial Legion soldiers stand guard on all streets leading to the square. The crowd keeps pushing. There are cries in the streets now. Mages and witches are children of the gods. Give the witches back their lives. Down with the shackles of the lots. The cries of the lotless fill St. Ignatius Square. A legionnaire yells over the mob and orders you to stand aside before they draw their swords. And then you hear a scream right next to you. We've got them outnumbered. We're going through them. Her voice rings in your head and fills you with fury and faith and victory. And you run straight at a legendary sharp sword. But suddenly a hand catches you and pulls you back. You see Sophia now, her eyes burning with golden light. The ecstatic, furious mob flows around her and towards the unnerved legionnaire. Sophia's face looks inhuman now, her grin predatory. The legionnaire swings his sword at the maddened mob, but he is quickly knocked off his feet. His fellow soldiers guarding the square lock their shields together and draw their swords. There is a look of bewilderment in the Inquisitor's eyes. It seems none of them expected such frenzy. Sophia leads the attack. So basically what's going on is that is Sophia, stupid witch that she is mind controlling the crowd to basically throw themselves onto the fucking guards like they're human waves. I wonder how this will end. Set the sufferers free! Junius Diamant is on our side. The twins are our shields. Any idea of a peaceful march is now thrown to the wind. Sophia is about to send the lotless against the lines of legionnaires. Only seconds, moments are left until they strike. You have to be there in the front lines. Or will you try to stop her and avoid further bloodshed? There is still time. Or will you execute the plan yourself and free the captives from the funeral pyres on your own? What would Milton do?
Yeah, Charlemagne. What would John Milton do? Quick. Charlemagne. I mean, Rothbard. What would John Milton do?
I'm just trying to follow the story, but there's a lot of things I don't understand.
So basically,
What do you do? You gotta be quick. You gotta
So-
say it.
so- so-
Or
so basic-
John Milton is gonna require the last 3 digits on your credit card.
look. So basically, Cringe Walker. What's happening is, mages are like locked away with collars suppressing their magic, and they're all essentially burned at the stake because they like do shit like manipulate people with magic and shit. And so we've got this leftist movement together to like free them, and we're wondering here, of these 3 choices: begin the assault, hold Sophia back, or free the captive mages on our own.
Yeah, what would John Milton do?
Yeah,
like,
what
if
would-
John Milton were, like, in this little, like, story, what would he do?
Sorry, I disconnected by accident. I say free the captives. Let chaos reign for the magicians.
Let's go ahead.
Evil-
Evil be my good.
Yeah, so he frees the captives. Oh boy, yeah, we trample the legionnaires. The Inquisition tries to stop those who make it past the shield-bearing soldiers. Your eyes catch an unguarded opening leading straight to the square. We run away through the crowd, and, Inquisitors are too busy binding the freeing lotless with the wondrous power of the younger twin. Oh, so the Inquisitors can use magic. That's interesting.
Yeah, of course. They have little ingots. Well, not even ingots. They're like little slabs.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's an ingot.
Well, we turn
It's not
over
an
a
ingot.
barrel.
Fuck. 1 second. What do you call a gold bar? But it's not a bar. It's like a small one. Small bar. It's like
Magnet.
like a
rod.
bullion.
Yeah, right.
A rod?
They use gold bullion.
A rod?
Bullion might be a word. Yeah, bullion might be the right word.
No, like an ingot is like the specific shape. They have like I remember they have little rods or something like that.
No, it's not a rod. It's like a card, but it's made out of special metal.
I don't know. I haven't played the Inquisitor.
What would you call?
yet.
I think it's either bullion or or it's like a bar, but it's not a bar. It's like a card. In Russian, there's a specific word that they use. It's like a plate, But anyway, whatever. They can use magic as well. It's just that the mages can't control it well, and it's like, guns are also banned in this universe. So
Oh, we turn over a barrel, flooding the square behind the Inquisitors with tar and set it on fire. They are now trapped with the mob.
Everyone's burning to death. Go
We
ahead.
start. Oh, what is it? I'm cutting the ropes and letting all of the mages free. The last mage you free is a girl with golden hair. She must have been a beauty in the past, but her body is beaten and bruised, and she is frightened and confused like all the other mages. Then suddenly you notice a young woman in an Inquisitor's cassock. You are moments away from assaulting her until you see she is helping the girl with the golden hair off the pyre. Did you just hear her apologize? The Inquisitor looks at you next. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the other possible waifu in this game.
There's 3 possible
And it's a better
waifus in
one.
this game. You push the freed mages toward the mob, yelling instructions into each ear. They have to scatter, they have to run away from Eterna as fast and far away as possible. The mages mix with the collared crowd. All you can do now is hope they will find a way out. Reaching Sophia in this chaos takes an eternity. You grab her hand, shout that the mages are free, and drag her away from the bloodshed. And then you run together until the screams in the square can no longer be heard. That's far enough, Bronte. We need to split up. We're too suspicious. And let's take off these collars. We don't need them anymore. We need to lay low, at least for several days. Don't go back to our house. I get a feeling there's a shakedown coming. A lot of us are going to get arrested, I'm afraid. But it was all worth it. I'm just glad it ended so quickly. You nod and turn away, ready to flee. But before you do, Sophia grabs you by the arm one more time. Was that all you? Did you set them free all by yourself? You nod. Sophia's eyes glow with awe. You find a flop house on a nearby street and rent a dirty cubbyhole of a room, no questions asked. You pay for a few days' stay at once. It's a good thing you kept your money on you today. Then you walk upstairs to the room and collapse onto the bed. There's no news about the lotless. It is as though none of it ever happened. You go to St. Ignatius Square only 3 weeks later. The cobblestones are covered with soot and you see spots of dried blood. In the bushes nearby, you find several broken collars. Our cause is just. Sophia likes us. We're a little bit better at scheming. The march in defense of the witches ended in chaos and carnage in the streets of Eterna.
Yep. And that's just one of the stories, one of the many stories.
And we saved the golden-haired singer.
Well, look, since we just had like this sort of a January the 6th, big crowd, pushing the policeman or something. There's an event in Russian history which is called the Khadinka tragedy, or also the Hadinskaya tragedy, where it was a crowd crush that occurred on 30th May 1896 on Hadinka Field in Moscow, Russia. It happened during the festivities after the coronation of the last emperor of Russia, Nicholas II. While 1,282 corpses were collected from the scene, injury estimates range widely from 1,000 to 20,000 people. And so here's a little background. Nicholas II and his wife Alexandra were crowned Emperor and Empress of Russia on 26th May 1896. 4 days later, a banquet was going to be held for the people at Hadinka Field. In the area, town square, theaters, 150 buffets for distribution of gifts, and 20 pubs were built for the celebrations. Near the celebration square was a field that had a ravine and many gullies. On the evening of 29th May, people who had heard rumors of coronation gifts began to gather in anticipation. The gifts which everyone was to receive was a bread roll, a sausage, pretzel, gingerbread, and a commemorative cup. And so on this field, which is not the biggest field, but it's still pretty big, at about 6 o'clock in the morning of the celebration day, several thousand people, estimates reached 500,000, were already gathered on the field. Rumors spread among the people that there were not enough beer or pretzels for everybody, and that the enamel cups contained a gold coin.
Peasants.
So you can imagine what happened.
Peasants.
And everyone, it's not just the peasants, people came from all over Russia. And, well, what people didn't know, that this field had things in it, or on it. And in one instance, there was an old covered up well that got completely filled up by corpses. Because people fell into it, because people stood on the earth and then the earth collapsed under it. A fuck ton of people died, like more than 1,000. And I was thinking about it, and well, is this a thing unique to Russia, or has this happened like in England or in America? Like crowd
happens in every
crush.
country, I think.
Yeah? Are there any famous ones?
I mean,
well, I think there's the famous.
well, there was I remember there was something in New York City where people got trampled. I don't remember. Go ahead, Cringe Walk.
I was just gonna point out the. I think. Wait. I think there was something like this in Rome during the games where people would just get trampled.
Yeah, but Rome, like ancient Rome, doesn't count. I mean, like recent. This was like what 200 years ago.
There were disasters at like all sorts of football stadiums in England back in the 70s and 80s where people would get trampled or burned to death.
Oh, there was that one in South Korea recently. That's what I was thinking about too.
I mean, it's people just be getting trampled at stadiums, bro.
Well, what about America?
Yeah,
like this stuff doesn't happen in America, or in. I mean, we're talking about like quantities here, right? Black Friday shopping, okay, but here we have 1,000 people like getting trampled, more than 1,000 people.
I don't think that's
in like a single day. Huh?
You're not bragging, but I mean, like, I don't know. I mean.
Russia numero uno.
It's true. It's true. Russia is indeed the best in the world at trampling its peasants to death.
Yeah, I know. Well, what about?
Oh my goodness.
What about America?
I mean, I don't know anything in America. I mean, yeah, you probably have. I mean, for us in America, the thing that people tend to get hurt at is like fucking union strikes and stuff. You know.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like in America, you only have like crowds getting massively hurt when like they're actively protesting or impeding civil order, and then we basically send in the big boys to correct them. I'm pretty sure there was Haymarket Square, but that was a bomb. There was the Tulsa massacre, although that was just like
yeah, that's mostly a myth actually.
Yeah, but
they have not found any mass graves.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that like. All I know is that in America, I don't know anything about. I'm sure there are mass tramplings, and people will say some, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, of course there was that," but not that I know of in the United States. I'm sure it's happened. I guarantee you it's happened. But so here, there are two major events take place while we're busy living our lives. Firstly, Cornelius Tempest is no longer the great chancellor of the empire. He has been ousted and sent back to his province. His replacement is the Archduke of Monia, Egarius Monrogue, the same Monrogue who sought to shut down the college. The most powerful lord in the realm finally convinced the emperor that his brother Cornelius was giving too much freedom to the lowborn. Now the policies of the empire will be reversed. Many fear that the new great chancellor will destroy the imperial code of laws and other achievements of Cornelius. They are cautious rumors among the people. They say the new great chancellor is going to revoke the right of the common law to be ennobled by the mantle. Secondly, Magra, your homeland, has a new overseer, Gaius Tempest, the other brother of Emperor Uther II. Usually the overseer of a province is its archduke. After all, it makes sense for the province's most powerful noble to impart the emperor's will to the locals. Yet now this age-old tradition has been broken, and to no one's surprise, Archduke Tarquinius Miliandus is absolutely furious. These names are so fucking stupid. And by stupid, I of course mean Italian. Gaius
What the
Tempest.
fuck? Hey, don't you press hard on my brothers.
Hey, bobbity boobity bibbity bobbity, you know. Gaius Tempest used to be the main supporter of his brother, former great chancellor Cornelius Tempest. The nobles at the emperor's court say this is a stratagem by the Arcanian gentry who want Gaius removed from court affairs along with Cornelius. Either way, Gaius Tempest and Tarquinius Milanidas, whatever the fuck, will be at each other's throats over the province. This does not bode well for their future. Only one thing is clear. Magra, your home province, is about to face great changes.
Yeah, Magra means thin in Italian.
Struggle for power. Order goes up a little bit, but...
Yeah, in fact, your home province, Cringe Walker, or Mr. Rothbard, it is a cursed land where nothing grows. So it's basically like, your country.
In the game or in real life? Because both are true.
No, I mean, Magra doesn't exist in real life, does it? Is this just like
in the game?
Are we just reading? Are we reading?
This is me joking about my Slavic Jewish side being in the pale.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
What do you mean? Like, if you're Slavic Jewish, you were born, or
I wasn't born there. That my great grandma was from there.
Well, your great grandma lived in Chernozem, which is the most fertile earth type.
Yeah, you'd think that.
What do you mean? You think that? I know that. I went to.
No. It is very fertile land, but it's hard to farm when you have artillery shells coming down on you every 5 years.
Oh, okay. So you mean she was that Slavic? She wasn't like that Slavic. She was that Slavic. Got it. Yeah. Well, okay. It makes sense.
The borders move faster than the rivers.
It's like Macedonians or something, or like Serbs.
Like Slavs try not to constantly genocide.
Yeah, because they have a shitty pronunciation, right? They have bad pronunciation. They have bad vowels, and we must civilize them. We must come in there. And we must say, it's not "huh," it's "g." Buddy?
What bad Slavic is Cringe Walker? I want to see this inter-Slavic old world.
What bad?
It's Russians, the Carpathian Russians, Russians.
Oh man,
Russians. How do you call them?
I don't know, like
the fake Russians.
You mean the fake Russians? There's no fake Russians.
Carpathian Rus. They're like laughed at by Ukrainians and Russians because they're like LARPy.
Bro. Is it maybe it's Carpathian?
Bro, this is like some Wolfram Nipsel von Hussel
Carpathian Mountains,
Slavonia levels of things I just do not care about. And
it's like this. It's this weird bullshit. It's like it's.
Slavs
they got
are 100% the same. Be like this other tribe of Slavs right next to me are subhumans.
The
Carpathian Rus. I think what they call the Russaics. They don't want to call themselves Russians, even though they are. Well, not really, but they basically speak Russianish.
Yeah, well,
They-
yeah, they might speak like Surzik or something, which is like Proto-Ukrainian or something.
Yeah, they
Um,
they speak some bumblefuck language. I don't know.
It's not bumblefuck. It's just badly pronounced Russian and badly like worded Russian, but it's still Russian, you know. And we must go there in order to civilize them.
And
It's
people,
always it's
and
the same
you
thing.
guys try to tell me that like you Ellis Islanders don't bring your old world grudges here, and like force my country to deal with your bullshit, basically.
Yeah,
You know?
it's what's the Brighton Beach? Yeah, Brighton Beach is retarded. It's the most retarded place on earth. The Russian that they
Are you
speak
talking
there
about
is
England
supposed to
or
be-
New York?
Wait, is there Brighton Beach in England?
Yeah,
Well, then it doesn't exist because I was talking about New York.
there's multiple Brighton beaches.
Well, there should only be one. the one
Turns out when the Anglo man came here, they were stuck up for new names and just copy paste.
Turns out when the Anglo man came here, he also brought his own old world bullshit with him. But the thing is we brought it first. The rest of you can fuck off. Rest of you can find your own new world. But
I love that when they took over New Amsterdam, they had the opportunity to make a new name, but like, we'll just call it New York instead of New Amsterdam. It's like, come on, come up with a new name, please.
No.
At some point, I didn't even know that just York existed. Like I thought that New York is just a thing.
It's better than Virginia naming conventions. Virginia naming convention, like you'll be driving north to Richmond from Petersburg, and you'll drive by Old Swamp, right next to New Swamp.
Look, it's not as bad as Russia because Russia has Lenin was born in a village called Kakashkina, which literally means little shit, little shits.
Well, you know, there's just down here in the part of Virginia I'm in, like south of Richmond into the fucking Pine Barrens. There's places like Bump Ass, Tight Squeeze.
Squeeze.
Those are the two funniest ones I can think of. Bump Ass and Tight Squeeze. But you can't call it Bump Ass unless you're from there. You like if you're from there, you can call it Bump Ass, but otherwise you have to call it Bum Pass. But there's it's just like you know, there's a Springfield in every single state. There's like anyway.
Last thing before we kind of continue, there one of the most famous bad named places in Russia is Mukhasransk, which means fly shit, right? Or flies shit. Like it's a real place where real people live, and it's called Mukhasransk, which is very weird. But
Oh my goodness!
and in fact, there's more than one. There's also Mukhasranovo. So, two people or two places.
This reminds me of my grandma's home village, which is something of the. It translates to where the women at, and it might have been a place where they sold women in the Ottoman Empire. So my grandma was the descendant of a long line of slave women.
Yeah, I don't know what. Well, because people look at this. This is the unofficial emblem of Mukhasransk.
Bubby's neck, I think. I forgot what
Look
was
at
the
this.
name. Bubby and it's like Bubby and Nike.
Well,
what's the Russian word for room or chamber? Is it neck?
Rumor.
Room.
Like a part of a room or a corner or something.
Ugo.
What's neck mean or neck? A naik? I forget.
Shit. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like the old Russian word. Yeah, I'm not.
It's
sure.
it's like
point.
chamber or something, right?
Fellas, I'm gonna have to stop this. Like this is just.
Yeah, we gotta continue with the game. The trap springs. Oh, look at that. We're gonna see some fembo.
This is just
Go
too
ahead.
much fucking Slavic bullshit. I can't stand it. All right. You know,
Let's go.
I read real quick. I read about the fucking Yugoslav wars, and you know, in the 90s, and the one conclusion that I came to upon reading them is these people are like 99.7% the exact same, and all of them speak the same language.
And all of them hate each other.
Yeah, and I'm like, and then I realized, then I had the epiphany. I'm like, wait a minute, no, this is just every single tribe of Slavs. Like, this is just how they are.
So the mayor of Palermo said one thing, one very important thing, and I felt as if the Sicilians are my people. You know, they're also Russians, because he said that Sicilians are amazing soloists but horrible orchestrals, and I was like, these are my people. You know, I can feel the Russian, the Russianity coming from them.
Russianity.
Oh my lord!
Oh, the Russianity.
You're making me blaspheme even more.
So let's go ahead. The trap spring.
Weeks pass.
We're gonna read about traps.
And not a word from the lotless. You have to resort to odd jobs to survive. How much longer will you have to wait? Your hopes of seeing the lotless return wane more and more with each passing day. You still recall the loss and bloodshed of St. Ignatius Square with pain. What happened to the others? How many of you managed to get away? And more importantly, what happened to Sophia? More days pass. You hear nothing. You keep returning to the same familiar city streets, glancing at the walls and windows, waiting anxiously for a sign or a familiar face. Then one day, you finally see a sign, a yellow towel hanging outside the window. Myers' window. That means tonight. You return to the basement. Only a few people are there. You look into their faces. There are fewer of you now. Some of the lotless could not bring themselves to come, and others died back in the square. Sophia sits at the opposite end of the room, like an actor on a stage, her pipe in her hand. A golden ray of sunset has just reached through the basement window to glint in her hair. People are sitting at the benches or leaning against the wall. You sit where you normally do, in the front row, almost in the middle. There are voices and there are questions. Why did our meeting stop? Where has Sophia been all this time? What do we do now? Sophia stands up and looks straight at you, a golden light glowing in her eyes. I want to ask you all for one last favor. Please, for your own sake, don't do anything foolish. The golden light in Sophia's eyes comes alive and flies through the hall, enveloping the others in a viscous form. Your eyelids grow heavy. Your mind becomes tangled and slow to react. You can barely stand, and your legs feel like they're made of rubber. The people in the front two rows slump to the floor. There are cries of surprise and confusion from the back rows. Oh no, she's tricking us. Then you hear heavy stomping steps. Armed knights.
The feds are among us.
She sold us out. Armed knights clad in black armor enter the basement.
We got glowy.
The lotless at the door draw their weapons and are killed instantly. A voice full of steel rings through the room. In the name of Emperor Uther II, you are all under arrest. Your heart is racing.
Shit. But FBI, open up. Let's go.
But rays of sunlight will not release you from the stupor. You can do nothing but watch as your united brotherhood perishes. This feels like a nightmare. Some run for the tiny windows. Others get down on their knees and surrender immediately. Others stand or sit still, unsure of what to do. Your former unity is shattered. People you used to call friends and allies now kneel in submission. And those who do not kneel are quickly cut down. There are screams and flashes of shield, and then the merciless cry, surrender or face execution. Sophia is no longer glowing. Her eyelids are red. She tries to maintain her composure, but you could see her lower lip trembling. Your eyes meet, and then she looks away. Sophia, but how? Why? Everything ends as quickly as it began. Most of you are arrested. Many are killed. Everyone bound by Sophia's spell is swiftly bound at the wrists and placed against the wall. You know most of you would rather die fighting, and you would, but if you were not bound and gagged by magic, they took your choice away from you. These people are well armed, well trained, but you see no signs on their armor. They are not the Legion, nor the Prefecture, nor the Inquisition. Your worst fear has come true. These are soldiers from the FBI. The FBI.
Secret Chancellery. It's more like the CIA. Yeah. What do you know about the Secret Chancellery, Mr. Rothbard?
In game or in real life?
Like in real life?
In real life, I know a few agents.
Oh shit! Tell us about them.
A high school friend of mine who keeps me informed on things, strictly confidentially.
Oh shit! Oh, what was he an informant for? Like drugs?
I'm not in the business of spoiling my context, sir.
Bobby, you're a Russian national. Keep this in mind.
Yeah, you're the enemy, my friend. I don't speak Russians on these.
No, you're an expat.
That's fucked. That's a betrayal.
No, it's not. You're asking questions.
How could you? How could you, Paul? You know, I gave you the keys to the motherfucking kingdom. You know, I need to take the. You know, they call me Argon. They call me Night Master. They call me Doorway. They call me Pink Dress. They call me Peanut Arbuckle. You know, we used to sing the alphabet together. A, B, C, D. Right?
Let's just say I will always be on the side of my government and empire because we are the good guys.
Paul, he's a he's a regime nationalist. He's a Zogger.
No.
Mm.
No, that's, the faction currently in power is the. I told you this story, didn't I? My family is more embedded with the Clintons, and so the Bidens are the enemy because they're the up and coming family that booted my
Not the up and coming family. That's for sure.
Oh shit! Wait,
they're not gonna. They're establishment too.
The Kennedys are not the Calvinists, right? Paul, you must cut them down.
Know that the Democrat Party is essentially feuding families. It's one of the reasons why I like it. It's very medieval. It's very like the Republican Party is just a bunch of like merchants and bankers bitching at each other. The Democrat Party has class and family loyalty, things Republicans will never understand.
Look, here's the thing. They're both fucking terrible because they're both fighting this weird blood war against my people specifically. Like they hate my people. And like basically I hate both of them because the Republican Party is staffed with Ellis Islanders and the Democratic Party is staffed with like the people who have been killing my people since
there's stuff with Carter's.
The Civil
Tell him,
War.
Paul.
Look, the whole point is it's like flyover America, interior America keeps America running and is the reason why America is the strongest nation on earth. And in essence, money is being sapped away from us by law to be sent to these people who otherwise would not have money. And yeah, I guess that's how nobility works. But the thing is it's like, look, like America worked the other way. America was unique not because what is it? America's unique not because like the people or anything, but it had a political system where it didn't really have a nobility for a very long time. It didn't really
say that it didn't even have a political system.
Anyway,
I will say that the simple solution is to get a Democrat in power whose base is the Anglos, not the Ellis Islanders. But that's hard to pull off.
Paul, he's trying to usurp power again.
What? No, not. Well, I had a thought here. I had a thought here. This actually. Should we do a history? I'll save this history tangent from the next page. No. We have to continue the game.
Okay, well, tell us what would John Milton do? Your body is bound by magic, enough willpower.
A distraction, surrender. Well, I mean, if you're bound by magic, what's the point of resisting?
Because you're John Milton. You're fucking John Milton.
You're still stuck, though. It's like, that's not gonna
you're
change.
John Milton. John Milton's a magician. He's
what's his relationship to this woman? Are they like former lovers or something?
Paul, tell him, Paul.
Wait, what's my relationship to this woman? She's like so apparently she's girl boss, man in high castle revolutionary.
You save her. You give one of your lives for her.
I would not do this.
When you were a little kid, you did it.
She was a neighbor of ours growing up, and we very selflessly threw ourselves into horses to save her from dying earlier. Even though we died, but you get multiple deaths in this game as part of the lore. But personally, I think Milton would. I'm
leaning on distraction too.
Yeah, Milton would not resist solemn providence.
She's not solemn providence. She's an eho.
Evil be thou, my good. Milton would not resist solemn providence.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go. Create a distraction. Shit on the floor, brother.
I break the spell. Neither Sophia nor the armored mercenary. I thought these were secret chancellery. No, but we take advantage of the confusion, knock him down, run for an oil lamp and smash it against the floor, wave of fire. Oh yeah, this is the Milton choice. Everything's burning away. Several men in black armor lunge at you. You are bound again, not by magic, but by heavy stomping boots. You hear screams all around you. Halt, stop them. Your distraction gave some of the lotless enough time to break the spell and escape through the door and the small windows. The leader's commanding voice stops the panic. Let them flee. We'll find them later if we're ordered to. Tie up the rest. Then they tie you up, tightening the knot around your wrist so hard your fingers turn white and kick you in the gut again for good measure. Sophia leans over you. She whispers, so she turned us in. She's a frickin' she was informant.
She's a fed.
Yeah, she was a what's the word? What's the word that they have for these kind of people?
Well, she's a A woman on right-wing Twitter. That's enough.
She whispers.
She's Laura Southern.
Yeah,
did all
Lauren
you could,
Southern.
Bronte.
Cool.
Do not
Oh,
resist
man,
the
Lauren
now.
Southern, what a tragedy. What a tragic story of a person that was just retarded.
I don't
you know?
even. I don't.
It was
even,
like Forrest Gump, but bad. You know. You did all you could, Bronte.
You did all you could, and this is the only way I could save you was by reporting you to the feds. You are dragged outside and thrown into a windowless wagon along with the other lotless. Soon the wagon shifts then start moving. You are being taken somewhere.
The wagon shits.
We were attacked and captured. The revolution, solemn providence. It must continue.
Yeah, well, what did Rothbard want to say?
Cringe Walker, what did you want to say? Was there anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, he wanted to say something. He said, well, we have to, like, finish this one. And then
I had history nerdy stuff you
Yeah,
want to hear
go
it,
ahead.
but if you don't want to
we do want to hear it. We want to hear it. Go ahead.
So I know from history that, you know, France was the first country to come out of the Dark Ages stable. And I had a hunch that, well, why would France be the country where that happened? It's like on the front line with Germany. It's like it's the first place to get sacked every time the Germans get a hoo-ha up and going. Why wouldn't it be Italy that rebuilt first, the heart of the empire? And I went hunting for this because it was burning me to figure out why. And I started seeing some connections, some points of connection between things. And it hit me that there was a major divide between the Gaul and Italian aristocracy. Because essentially since Caesar took it over, the Gaul aristocracy and the Italian aristocracy, they were kind of like bedfellows that deep down didn't really like each other, you know, what with the genocide and all. And unlike the Spanish aristocracy or the North African aristocracy or the
you
Greek...
mean the Holocaust?
What?
The
The Holocaust.
Yeah, the Holocaust, yeah. So, like, you know, when the Romans conquered Hispania, the aristocracy integrated into Rome pretty well. They all became Latin speakers and everything else. When it conquered Carthage, the Carthaginians integrated pretty well. When it conquered the Greeks integrated pretty well. All these places integrated pretty well. I mean, some of them were different. Like, the Greeks never gave up Greek, whereas the North Africans and the Hispanics, they adapted Latin. The Gauls adapted Latin too, but they never quite gave up their Gaulishness. And because of this, if you look at the land registries of the Roman Empire, Spain, North Africa, north of like the Balkans and Italy, they're all owned and operated by Italian landowners. But Gaul remained in the hands of Gallic nobles. They never sought to expand their land ownership outside of Gaul, and one might argue they weren't allowed to. And they also they gatekept. They never really allowed the Italians to like carpetbag into Gaul. They gatekept the Italians out of Gaul. So the land owning elite of Gaul remained Gaulish, unlike the rest of the Roman Empire. And this is very interesting. I've been reading through this. This is like the Substack I've been writing for the last 2 months. And that was really like the hit that made me realize why Gaul was where civilization rebuilt after the when the Roman Empire dissolved, rather than Italy. It's because it had an independent-minded landowning elite that had a concern for the peasants that they ruled over. They weren't like carpetbaggers or foreigners. They were actually native people with a vested interest in the native lands. And that's very interesting. That is unique to Gaul. It was the only part of the Roman Empire where that was true, other than obviously Italy with the Italians. The entirety of the rest of the Roman Empire were Italian landowners over foreign people, and so they didn't give a shit. If anything went bad, they just went back to Italy. They didn't care. For them, it was just an extractive exercise. And so by the late 300s, you have this situation where Gaul is now a like semi-independent minded part of the Roman Empire, whereas the Italian aristocracy ruling the rest of the empire are kind of like starting to get some hard times between plagues and barbarian invasions. And when 406 runs around and the Germans cross the Rhine, there's like 30,000 of them that come over, the Goths, the Lombards, the Alans, who are actually Iranian, but all kinds of different tribes, different parts of the world. It wasn't just Germans. Gaul gets the blunt of it. You know, the first places the Germans go when they cross the Rhine is straight into Gaul. And because Gaul is not owned by Italians, the Romans really don't care when it starts burning. It's not their land, it's not their assets, it's not their concern. And in many ways, this is like a shortcoming of the perspective of the Italians. It's like, well, I mean, like, it doesn't matter if it's not yours. It's literally your frontier. You have to like respond. But between the years 406 and like 450, the Italians just never bother protecting Gaul. They just let it burn for the entirety of those decades. The Germans multiple times march through it and multiple times don't do anything. Like the Romans just ignore it. There's like, oh, whatever, it's just Gaul, or it's not my land that's burning. It's not my problem. The second the Germans cross into Spain, they send an army to face the Visigoths. The second the Germans go in Italy, they send an army to take care of the Lombards and Ostrogoths. You know, the second the Vandals arrive in North Africa, they try to kick them out because these are Italian lands that are being sacked. Senators are losing their property, and people joke that the Senate wasn't important. It still was the meeting place of the aristocrats of Italy. So it was kind of like an elite club basically, and essentially Gaul starts to realize that all of their efforts to preserve Gaul have played against them now because now no one cares about them. No one's coming to save them. And so when I think Constantius II or something arises in Great Britain, the Gauls are like, there's a usurper willing to protect the frontiers of the empire, and no one else is. So Gaul naturally throws their lot behind Constantius, and you get like the Second Gallic Empire basically under him. And what happens is that the second they rebel and join the usurper, then the Romans send a Roman army to conquer Gaul again and secure places. And in the minds of the average Gaul, they're thinking, we just went through like 30 years of barbarian raiding and sacking, and you ignored it. The second we try to take care of ourselves, you're here? Oh, I see. We're not really part of this empire, are we? And that like plants the seeds in Gaul of like, the Italians don't care about us. They only care about their shit. And we're in it. We're gonna have to eventually figure out a way to like deal with this ourselves. So, Paul, in many ways, what you're expressing with the American elite like abandoning the Anglos, that's kind of what the Gauls were experiencing, where like the Roman elite were like just not concerned with them anymore. And in many ways, like the Romans were still bringing over intelligent and capable Gaulish scholars to run their institutions in Rome. There's like multiple examples of like. Of intelligent, capable, like, bureaucrats from Gaul running Roman institutions, but they're not allowed to be senators really that much, and there's like almost never a Gallic emperor. And the Gauls begin to put things together, and they start realizing that we really, they have to figure out a way to like, I mean, it's by this point it's like the 450s and Attila the Hun's coming, and it's like kind of the end anyway, but there's actually this conspiracy that forms, which it's not well known about. It's there's no Wikipedia article about it. It's mentioned by a few writers in the 5th century that there formed a Gaulish conspiracy. And while this conspiracy is not well known, its members are kind of known. And their plan was essentially, as the empire continues to decline, let's try to take as many assets and competent men, move them to Gaul. And when the moment of decision happens, let's just become our own empire without them. And that conspiracy, it doesn't quite work out as planned. At one point, they tried to install the first Gallic emperor, and it's kind of surprising. Like Gaul is part of the Roman Empire at this point for like 400 years, and they've never had an emperor from Gaul. They have Italian emperors, North African emperors, Arabic emperors, Hispanic emperors, Greek emperors, but they never had a Gallic emperor. And it has a lot to do with the fact that the landed elite were not Italian. They were like kind of punished for that.
No Russian emperor either.
Yeah, of course. But they weren't in the Roman Empire. So it's fascinating. Essentially, it's called the Marsilian conspiracy, or the Consortio Marsiliana, and it basically translates to the conspiracy of Marcellana. But there is no Marcellana. No one's quite sure what Marcellana means in the title, because like there really wasn't anyone by that name, and so there's been a lot of debates with the few people that know about this historical document. Who is Marcellana? Why is this conspiracy named after him? I actually think Marcellana means of Mars, and so I kind of actually think it's the conspiracy of Mars, or the oath of Mars, like, because a lot of these people were kind of like semi still pagan a little bit, and not just Gallic pagan. They were like kind of like they a lot of them were Arian Christian and stuff like that, but their form is essentially this conspiracy that spends a couple of decades bleeding intelligent men out of Rome into Gaul, and that operation, that multi-generational operation, results in Gaul having the only leftover competent administrators when the Roman Empire in the West finally does dissolve. And as a result of that, like shifting of elite and pulling them over, they could just, like, you know, it's like a government in waiting. It forms instantly, and it just starts operating. And that was actually the reason why Gaul ended up being the place where civilization reborn. It wasn't by chance. It was actually planned across decades. And I didn't know about that. And I had a hunch it was something like that, but now that I have the sources to like kind of prove it, I want to write a Substack about it. It's like kind of fascinating how these people in Gaul, they kind of got on they got the idea that this arrangement can't last, and it's clear that the empire is not lasting very much longer. Let's start planning for it. I find that very interesting.
Cringewalker,
yeah.
I love it.
But it's off topic.
No, not even that it's off topic. Like
this is what the show is for.
What state are we picking? All right, because pretty much here's the thing, right? One of the things, and I learned this listening to a Blood Satellite podcast recently, where Canada, the exact same thing is happening that's happening here. It's just more obvious. All right. I don't want to say Canada is the canary in the coal mine, but it's more of like Canada is like what happens there is kind of like what they wish they could do here. What's happening in essence in Canada, Bobby and Mr. Cringewalker, is that basically Western Canada, Alberta, basically the agriculture and oil states are getting all of the money of that siphoned out of their states. Basically, they make all of the money, and it goes to pay for Quebec. All right, goes to pay for Quebec. What's the deal with this, right? What's the deal with it going to pay for Quebec? Well, all of the Quebec is like a net unprofitable province. Like it cannot sustain itself economically. And so the government, controlled by this sort of like weird, Quebecois elite, have, and the Quebecois as a organized minority were able to sort of implement these legal restrictions where everyone needed to be Quebecois to be in government and all this. You need to speak French to be in Canadian government, otherwise you can't do it. And this is on the national level from their sort of like state. And so, in essence, Western Canada is at the point where they're like, look, we're not going to take this anymore. There's been all sorts of discussion about the Western secession from the east of Canada, because the West makes all the raw materials, and they don't have the manufacturing base, but they do have the raw materials. And it's easier to build a manufacturing base with raw materials than it is to build raw materials with a manufacturing base. But I digress. The same thing is happening here in the United States. What you would call the interior of America, is really anywhere beyond the first like 2-3 miles of the coast. All right. I'm looking at a map of the United States right now. And, not only is this states like, fucking Wyoming or Idaho that people think about, but it's actually most of California, a good 50+% of Washington and Oregon, a good 50% of Virginia, most of North Carolina, the South, Western Pennsylvania, Western Maryland, even upstate New York to a certain extent. A lot of New England. Not so much New England though. They're always kind of their own polity. But other than that, like most of the interior of America, the Great Lakes states, Kentucky, Tennessee, the Deep South beyond the coast, and even that third coast down there, and then all of the Great Plains and Rocky Mountain states. So, Mr. Cringewalker, if assuming a 1-to-1, let's just adopt the heuristic that what you have described is a 1-to-1 comparison for what we're facing right now. What state or set of states would you pick for us to start relocating people to?
That's a hard question. Sorry, go on.
Cringewalker, there is no cultural difference.
I got a solution for it. Just relocate everyone to Sicily.
No. There is no cultural difference between Wyoming and Kentucky. And you know why I tell you that? Because they're both settled by the exact same people with the exact same traditions in simply two different locales. Right? They are all Scots-Irish. Some places have like the Germans, but they're in essence, they act like us. They act like the Scots-Irish. They're red state interior Americans. All right. They are ranchers. They are farmers. They are miners. They are oil men. Some of them are like small town lawyers. Almost zero tech. Almost no tech. These are the kind of people that tend to survive collapses. Anyway, so Mr. Cringewalker, I kind of ask you again, is it's like within this great interior of the United States, is there any particular place you would feel compelled to point towards?
I can't because I don't have the data. Mm-hmm. But I think you're right that a lot of these people all come from the same backgrounds and experiences and have similar like mythologies of their origin. In many ways, we're unique. We're kind of similar to Rome in the sense that a lot of the problems come from a few cities and that's about it. And we're not like Rome in the sense we have yet to have a barbarian invasion into the countryside to ethnically diverge the general heartland. Whereas Rome had... Yep.
Have you seen how many Hispanics are in the South? Have you seen...
Not in the countryside, I don't know.
In the countryside. In the countryside.
Oh, yeah.
Cheap
latifundia in that sense,
cheap latifundia labor.
In that sense, then that might be an example of an area that probably won't come with you after the collapse, unless you'd have like an elite that are loyal to you. Like when Gaul became an independent state, it wasn't actually all of Gaul. It was pretty much only north of Gaul and a few parts of the south, and it took like generations more to take some. For France to become what we know it today. Like Toulouse was ran by the Visigoths for a couple hundred years, and it took a while for Gaul to expand into the borders of France today. So in many ways, when our government like dissolves itself, I don't want to say collapse because I don't even think the Roman Empire collapsed. I think it just kind of like got overpowered by powerful cabals. In many ways, the areas of this country that are like predominantly Hispanic, one might argue, were they ever American? And if they were,
Texas,
then it's possible that Texas was like colonized by us. So
Arizona is just a desert. It should have never been settled.
Yeah, and in many places, like Arizona is a good example where the entire state operates around Phoenix, basically, and Phoenix was like. Phoenix has your old Anglo elite that rule the entire area, and then most of the countryside's Hispanic. I think I don't know.
New Mexico almost certainly has always been a Spanish place, and it will almost certainly revert to being basically quasi-Mexican. Here's the thing, though, right, Mr. Cringewalker, and we'll go back to this. But I'll leave with this, and then we'll go back to the game. But I don't want America to balkanize, because what that would do is basically give the World Economic Forum everything they want.
Yeah. I don't want to balkanize either.
Wait, you think the WEF are anti-American?
Oh yes, Holy shit! Yes,
They're not anti-American government. They're anti-American citizen.
they're anti. No,
Well, everything is at this point anti everyone's citizen. Like there is no citizen on this world that isn't suffering.
It's not gonna change. I don't think that arrangement will change until people aren't yet starving, but that might change in a few years. So that's when things will get interesting.
The left want to essentially dynamite the United States as a political polity. They want
the thing is though, like a lot of our divergent areas can't operate independently. They're very dependent on the rest of the country. So if America was to like dissolve, I just can't fathom how like New Mexico will continue to exist independent, right? Like it'll either become Mexico or Mexico isn't going to survive without us either. Like Mexico depends on our economy. So in the situation of a like downturn, most of North Mexico just becomes lawless, and Mexico City becomes like a city state in the desert. Mexico has been compared to Afghanistan for that reason. Actually,
wouldn't you be afraid of an invasion then? Like
from who? From
like
who?
El Paso, you know, you'd have like the serious
those are
enemies,
those areas. You know? So here's a good example. In Gaul, about a fifth of Gaul towards the end was run by the I'm gonna get the word right. Gaul.
Well, I mean, you know, they still have guns. They have training. I mean, the cartels are a force to be reckoned with, no? And it's like
the cartels are just local governments, basically, at this point.
Yeah, well done. Thank you,
Gaul had this problem where roving bands of
dogs.
No, like
but
towards anyway. I don't remember the. Yeah. Sorry.
The stuff that you were telling me about Gaul, I was thinking I had one name on my mind: Asterix. Well, actually, two names: Asterix and Obelisk. Obelix. You know the.
Yeah, that's like before Rome, though.
What do you mean? It's the cartoon.
What?
The bande dessinée, the Asterix and Obelisk. Obelix.
I don't know what this is.
Are you shitting me? You don't know who Asterix with the little doggy? They drink the potions of the druid, and Obelix fell into the. Okay, well, look. If you want to write the Substack, you have to put them in the.
DM me the name because I can't spell French words for the life of me.
Fellas,
yeah, it's
real quick, fellas.
Well, Paul, do you know about Asterix and Obelix?
No, I don't. I probably know the motif if you showed me the picture or the sign, but I don't.
The big guy, and then the small guy with the hat with feathers on it.
Is this like a Dark Souls reference?
No, it's not a Dark Souls reference. It's a French, like it's a I forgot you're not Europeans. You know?
I'm not. Yeah, we're not. We're not. We're not queers.
That's what the problem is.
We don't ride bikes and eat tuna salad sandwiches. Yeah, we're not Europeans. Cringe Walker maybe rides a bike, but I don't.
Anyway, so I want to say, significant parts of Southern Gaul were run by these, landless peasants. There's a lot of backstory here I was talking about, but basically towards the end, a lot of the landowning Gauls had to like give up their lands to survive, and the peasants became wandering hordes of robbers. And large parts of Gaul, while this operation of moving elites was happening, just became lawless. Like no one was governing. It was just bands of highwaymen, and like there really wasn't any organized resistance. These places, you can think of these kind of situations as high risk but low probability of competition. So, like, if America's federal government went broke and local governments had to take over until someone figured out how the federal government worked in a new way, large portions of the country would devolve into like warring villages. But there really isn't a risk of a like competent alternative government from those places. They can kind of just be sidelined until you get a competent government and then reconquered. So even if America does like quote unquote balkanize, huge chunks of this country just can't operate independently, and they can just be ignored until a new federal government is formed. Because I mean, there's always a chance that some warlord arises, but it's very low. Like nowhere in the end of the Roman Empire did any competent alternative government form from the warring, from like the lawless peasants. They just never did. They never had the capacity to. And so mostly they were just ignored and fought. And when the French government formed, they were just gobbled up immediately because there just wasn't any ability for them to form a competent resistance. I think places like Arizona and New Mexico are like that, where like, yeah, if the government went broke and the states were trying to work out what the new federal government with like restructured finances, those areas that become lawless will just be retaken. Most times without even a battle. Like you would just be like, we're the new government. Most places would just submit. I'm not actually that worried about those places.
Well, fair enough. Mr. Cringewalker, I want to have a conversation with you, probably offline via voice, a little bit later about these sorts of topics, because I've been thinking about this quite a bit. Not just in terms of like what the societal trends are, but like what I should make my personal life. Because I'm at a sort of crossroads moment in my life where in the next couple of years I will have basically decided what I will be for the rest of my life. And I want to do that in line with the best way to help us with the coming societal trends. So I may want to talk to you about that later. But anyway, that I want to get done with chapter 3 today. We're so close.
Close. We have 10 minutes. We could do the chapter, and we'll have Cringewalker read something.
Okay. I've just been here for side commentary.
Days are followed by nights. Nights
you've done great. I hope you've enjoyed this stream.
You can only tell because of the light coming in through the tiny window near the ceiling. You've spent several months in this cramped cell. It is 5 steps long, 2 steps wide. These walls felt oppressive during your first few weeks, but people can get used to anything eventually. They feed you twice a day. They do not answer any questions. They take away the food if you scream too loudly. You think of your family often. How would they react if they heard you were facing execution for being part of an underground movement? Mother would die from grief. Execution always brings true death. Father's hair would turn white. Gloria would cry. Stefan would rage. And Nathan would become even more isolated. Sophia, how could she do such a thing? She said the Lotless were her family. She insisted so much on freeing the innocent mages. She urged you to support Patriarch Junius and the new faith. Sophia said all that. And then she stood there and watched her fellow Lotless get killed and arrested, their lives lost, years of work undone and destroyed. Frickin' narc. Driven mad with rage, you punch the stone wall. Blood splatters from your knuckles. It grows dark again. The latch on the door squeaks and the cell opens. They carry you out by the arms, but you no longer resist. You are sick of this. It's no use anymore. They seat you in the interrogation room. There's a man sitting across you, plain but well-tailored jacket, pale face with chiseled features, thick black mustache, black eyes watching you, your every move from their deep sockets. When did this secret chancellery first start watching? When did you all become pawns in their game? The nobleman keeps studying you with utter disdain. Even grandfather never looked at you with such scorn. He wears a pendant in the shape of a wheel. His gloved hands rest atop a table with a walking stick leaning against it. Behind him stands Sophia, her head down. I am Baron Felipe El Ferro, advisor.
Oh, pause. Let's have Cringewalker read Philippe.
All right, read Felipe.
Let me see where we are. Felipe El Ferro. Yeah. I am Baron Felipe El Ferro, advisor to the secret chancellery, but I have a dislike for titles. Call me Sir Felipe. That will suffice. I know everything about you, young Bronte. Your father and grandfather are loyal servants of the Empire. Your brother is a noble by birth. Where did your life take such a turn? How did you stoop so low? Oh, what a dick.
You gotta wait till I turn the page. You're probably a couple seconds behind.
The advisors to the secret chancellery shakes his head. The advisor, not advisees. Presenting you with a clear, false smile of sympathy. You feel like a student in front of a strict teacher, but you will not leave this room with a mere flogging.
Have you ever been flogged, Cringewalker?
By my parents.
With what? With a belt?
Yes.
Here's the difference. That in Russian you have like different words for flogging.
I saw the previous episode.
Okay, well done. Well,
I like that a lot, actually. I think I left a super chat for that one. Anyway, you young people don't even realize what you're doing. Openly defying the church and its teachings, openly speaking out against the law. And when Junius Diamant gives you the order, you wreak havoc in the capital, assault priests, and free apostates, which is sentenced to execution. Is that right, Sophia?
This fucking narc.
Yes, Sir Philippe. It all happened exactly as you said.
You shiver with disbelief. There was no order from Junius Diamant. That is not true. It never happened. You look at Sophia, but she will not look at you. Her eyes are only on Baron El Faro, and he looks at you with the fatherly smile and a ruthless gaze. You are trapped. Now his words will be the truth, and nobody will ever believe anything you say.
Go ahead.
If only I could be like you, young Bronte, a mere boy who thinks he can change the Empire all on his own. But I suppose it's a good thing I'm not that naive, otherwise I'd be in your shoes right now, and you'd be dealing with someone far worse than me. Good cop, bad cop. There are many things in this world that do not... Paul, move the mouse so I can read it.
I'm moving it. Whatever.
I have to wait a few seconds. There are many things in this world you do not sit well with me either. But unlike your youthful rebellion, my goals are quite clear. My wish is to save the Empire, to save it from the likes of you. People who reject tradition and the laws given to us by the goods. Fools who seek to set the mages free. Practitioners of the new faith that is destroying the church from within, even if their leader is a patriarch and an Arcanian from an ancient dynasty. This guy's literally me.
Oh,
so Arcanians,
that's dangerous.
Arcanians in this game, Cringe Walker, are not elves. They have literally blue skin. And that's their
The blue bloods.
Ah, okay.
There's only humans and Arcanians. Those are the only two races.
Go ahead.
You know my methods, and that is why they are effective. Thanks to Sophia and this secret society of hers, we are already managed to gather all the dangerous insurgents together and summarily deal with them in one swoop. The heretic Junius Diamante is next in line, but that is not of your concern. Let us speak of your fate now.
Holy shit, guys! The feds. This is just the feds revealing their tactics to us. They try to get us concentrated in one place.
Wow, I know,
guys,
they're already in this chat. They're here.
Well, guys, you should. Totally,
I am.
we should totally organize a movement. We should totally organize a resistance movement where we
should
can all
totally
be in one
go
place.
into the.
Never resist. Just make parallels.
We should go to the Capitol and we should protest and have Kid Rock there and a bunch of trannies, right? Yeah, bro. We should hit this cop over the head with an extinguisher.
Okay, I will. Next slide. Felipe produces a folder full of notes and puts it on the table in front of you. The folder bears your name. Your hands shake as you flip through the pages. How you infiltrated the college during the siege. How you helped recruit more people for the Lotless. The articles you wrote for that newspaper. The advice you gave Sophia. Your preparations for the March of the Collars. Your life over the past 3 years is laid down on the pages. Damn, feds are just feds. You know, they do what they are. Just the records of your presence at the Lotless meetings is enough to sentence you to execution, but that is the least of what you have done over these years. Your stomach churns.
Do not expect your father's authority as a judge to save you from this Brunte. He is just a second-generation judge. A brief note from me, and you will face true death. And then your father and the rest of your peculiar family as well. What say you? Is there any reason I shouldn't do that? Just that.
Sophia, Sir Felipe, I...
That's a meme.
He strikes Sophia swiftly and painfully. She doubles over and clutches at her stomach, gasping for breath. Slowly, Felipe returns the walking stick to its previous position. His gaze never leaves you.
Just BTFO's the fucking Bill. What's her name?
I don't remember giving you permission to speak. Very well, I grant it now. Speak. What a pimp.
Yeah, he BTFO'd Belle Delphine.
Sophia finally
Pimp in the negative sense.
Sophia finally catches her breath and leans against the wall. She looks at you for the first time since the interrogation began. Sir Felipe, Bronte grew up in Anizote like me. He is very bright and has proven himself to be quite capable since his very first days with the Lotless. You will find my description of him in my report. He will serve your cause in Magra well. Ooh. You do not look at Sophia. Her betrayal is the reason you ended up here. But now she is putting herself at risk to save your life. Felipe stares you down, his chin resting on his fist. Proved himself, you say? Then how about he proves himself to me as well? There are only two way out of this room, Bronte. One leads to the gallows, the other makes you my loyal servant. Thank your childhood friend for this mercy. I will give you one chance, and only one, to prove that you are useful to the Secret Chancellery. I'm listening.
Yeah.
What's your skill stats on those unlocked options?
Well, I can
show him the skills.
I can
show him the
him
skills.
for sure, like no problem at all. Hold on.
Paul, show him the skills.
I'm looking for him. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. These are our skills. So we're great at diplomacy. We suck at fighting. We're great at theology. We're suck at like eloquently speaking. We're like masterful at manipulating, and we're pretty good at scheming.
Yeah, but we're John Milton. Literally John Milton.
So true. John Milton was not a good speaker. He was a fucking autist who wrote.
Yeah, we're definitely tongue-tied, so... But we're good at writing, so...
So, Mr.
Okay, so here's my thought, okay? Back in the beginning of this game, you were an old man writing his memoirs, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you probably could just resist him and know you're not going to die. But maybe that's a deception and you will die. I don't know.
We won't tell you because we want you to keep watching our stream. But you're onto something there.
I mean, if you want to dance around him with facts and logic, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's not Ben Shapiro.
This is what Milton would do. Milton's a fucking autist. He was an autist who would do this shit. So of course he would outwit him. You know, Milton was a fucking like brainlet. He was a brain cell.
Well, there are two ways to outwit him. Here, I think that you will just you clicked it. You clicked it. That's fine.
Sorry, I thought we decided.
No, we didn't. A betrayal. You see the two Americans gang up on a Russian.
He's a fucking Slav.
This is how it is. This is how it is then, huh? You're gonna take one, the very small patch of land that I own. You're gonna take away the only land that I have.
You own land. Must be nice.
I do own land, actually. Wait, you do own land, right?
No,
Land's cheaper in Russia.
I'm a rent.
No, I don't own land in Russia. I own land in Sicily because it's dirt cheap.
Okay.
I'm a rentoid, Bobby.
Sicily is true Anglo clay, so we'll demand it back one day.
It's truly Russian. Like I feel I can already see the Slavic spirit rising above the mountains. Exalting the true Russian soul, the language, and the prison of the mind in which a Russian exists dissolves here, and a smile is burdened upon his sorrowful face.
Smiling is illegal in Russia.
Absolutely.
Oh, it would have been perfect. The moment would have been perfect. I forgot it. Bobby, tell me some more about how great like the Slavs will be in Sicily.
Well, the Slav shall toil the toils and soil the soils with his wonderful ghost. The mountain expands and envelops his true face, his true vision of what life must be. When a Russian enters Sicily, he sees that Russia was only the beginning, and Sicily is the goal, the finish line. Adieu, he says to my bitter motherland, and he welcomes the cult of Giovanni.
Okay, that y'all heard that, right? I wasn't just like holding up my phone to the mic. Did y'all not hear that?
Bruh.
It's okay. Anyway, I pull myself together and start thinking. I have to earn my freedom, and for that I must prove that I can be useful to the city hall, but I cannot betray the Lotless. And so I start talking. I describe everything I've learned over the past 2 years, including my work with the Lotless, my recruitment and propaganda, the public activities I hosted. He listens very carefully. I use my cunning to convince him that the Lotless pose no threat and have no leadership, with Sophia and you out of the picture. If you are to be believed, the Lotless were already on the verge of disbanding. Sophia is silent and emotionless as you speak. Nothing in her reacts to your lies. We're committing the sin of intelligence here, Bobby.
The sneed of
The
intelligence.
sneed of intelligence. All right, Cringe Walker, go ahead.
I have to hold on. Well then, you're quite self-assured, Bronte. So you're trying to tell me your entire secret society was held together entirely through your efforts? Granted, you talk far better than those half-wits, street rats. One way or another, the Lotless have outlived their usefulness. I have no use for the rest of those pathetic ragamuffins.
Yeah.
Are you a ragamuffin?
I've been called a fuck muffin once. I don't know what that means, by the way.
Cringe Walker is what you would call the urban professional cast. He is one of the
man of fortune.
He's
Color me.
He's like a guildsman. You know, he's one of the various like professional people who keep civilization running. Myself, I am basically an impoverished gentryman. Like, you know, right now, like you know, the military was supposed to be my thing, but like I'm a poor country gentleman who has no land.
Yeah, know? I'm literally the future
country squire, if you will.
Yeah, so true.
Alright, color me impressed, but if you disappoint me, so much the worse for you. Now mark my words, from this moment on, you are my secret servant. This is your only lot in life now, as it were. You will obey me and no one else, and you do not even think of mentioning the secret chancellery to anyone. Is that it? That's how easy it was to...
Yeah, apparently. Although the thing is you needed a manipulation skill of like 13 to do that, which is you're pretty good at it, and we have a manipulation skill of 20. So
okay.
So we're basically we could do there's only one skill check in the entire game for each.
Yeah, we're literally
skills.
John Milton.
Yeah, there's only one skill check in the entire game for all of those skills that requires a 20, and it's all of them are in the final act. Like what is it? All of them are in this final act right here, Chapter 5, The Revolt. I'm trying to get done with Chapter 3. We're already a little bit over our 2-hour mark.
Yeah, in fact, we're gonna in about 12 minutes. We're definitely ending.
Yeah.
But let's finish up the Mr. CIA. You know, Dr. Pavel. I'm CIA. He wasn't alone. You don't get to bring friends. They're not my friends. Type
Should I read this?
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
You and Sophia will return to Anizote. Tell everyone you earned a small fortune in the capital or made wealthy friends. You're a slippery young man. Just think of something believable, will you? Once you're there, open a print shop. Don't waste too much time on it. This job will be your cover to keep you looking busy in public. My people will pay you visits from time to time and bring you instructions from me. I have big plans for your desert province. My every instruction must be carried out immediately. If you ever fail or try to fool me, your family will suffer along with you. Here, this should be enough for the print shop. Now you have something to bring back home.
With a chuckle, Felipe drops a hefty pouch at your feet. It falls like a rock and makes a sound that only gold can make. Before you say anything, he turns around and leaves. Once you are left alone with Sophia, she finally lets her emotions rise to the surface. Don't you dare call me a traitor. Do you think it was easy for me to watch my friends being killed? Nobody would have left the room alive if it wasn't for me. Thanks, Lorgar. Looks like you're coping and seething about the fact that you did in fact betray people. Yes, I bound everyone I could with my spell, because otherwise you would have died trying to fight back. I hoped I could get everyone out of there alive, but I only got you out. It's a good thing you said what you said. Now Felipe will pay no attention to the Lotless. The survivals will continue our work eventually, without us. And as for you and me, Felipe has us on his leash now. We'll have to survive like this. We can't run from him. If I don't do what I'm told, he'll have me collared and sent back to the House of Humility to be an obedient, soulless puppet. But we have each other now. We can do this. Don't lose hope. Hope and change. A jailer enters the room before you can say anything else. You are led out of the prison and into the yard. You wince at the light of the sun in the shining pillar. A carriage takes you back to the flop house where you took refuge after the March of the Collars. The driver kindly informs you he has orders to take you back to Anizote in 3 days. You start packing. It all feels like a dream. Everything will happen exactly as Felipe said. You have nowhere to run. If you try to flee, they will find you, and they will find your family first. In the blessed Archnean Empire, there is no way to start over with a clean slate. The twins and the secret chancellery seize all. Your months in prison are in the past, but can you truly call yourself free now? You will be going home soon.
Wonderful.
Hey,
I believe this is chapter 3 over, right?
I think so, yeah, and we rescued the Lotless. All right, excellent. And I now serve the secret chancellor. Your life and fate are in the
Okay.
hands of it.
Well, here's a kind of a question since we're wrapping this up. Cringe Walker, tell us what you liked, what you think we could do better.
Hold on. We're not quite done yet. We still have to wait for the final thing to tick and for us to go into chapter 4. Just before you leave, I'm going to go through this quickly. You overhear something unusual. Junius Diamant, Patriarch of Estinium, one of the leaders, will stand before a church tribunal. The Order of the Inquisition has accused Patriarch Junius of patronizing blasphemous witches and disseminating heresy. The Holy Tribunal claims that Junius Diamant was scheming to free all witches and sorcerers from the collars that fetter their accursed powers. And what's worse, the Patriarch was also accused of forming the Lotless, a dangerous secret society based in the... Oh, so they're just pinning... He's a patsy. They're just pinning all this shit on him. Members of this society have been assaulting inquisitors and priests of the church, as well as freeing witches from the cleansing fire and helping them escape the holy law. Now the Patriarch must face the Holy Tribunal of the Inquisition in Eterna. By all accounts, this is a devastating blow to the new faith, and the end of the days for Junius Diamant himself. The Inquisition will make the most of this opportunity to rid the land of this unwelcome Patriarch who dared to shake the foundation of the old faith. But then comes the sudden news of Patriarch Junius's reply to the Holy Tribunal. It is no less stunning than the accusation. These words are nothing but lies. I will say this to anyone who dares to bring this accusation against me in person. But I want those hypocrites to bear the full weight of their responsibility for this slander against me, my flock, the Diamant dynasty, and the Holy Order. I agree to stand trial before the Holy Tribunal, but I will face them on my own land and on my terms. Patriarch Junius has already received strong support from Patriarch Luke and many priests across Archnia. Parishes of the new faith throughout the Empire are now speaking out in support of Junius Diamant. The Church of the Twin Gods is about to be rent in twain. The Inquisition has no choice but to revoke the trial in order to avert the coming schism. Their new official stance is that Patriarch Junius has been wrongfully accused, and the Holy Tribunal will now apply more cautious judgment during any further trials against the followers of the new faith. Following the teachings of Patriarch Photis is no longer seen as heresy by the Inquisition. The trial of Junius Diamant has been averted, but the divide within the church is only deepening. The new faith has directly challenged the old faith. The result is uncertain, depending on who you ask. Some say Junius Diamant all but pled guilty. Others believe the Patriarch and the alleged rebellion against the Church as well as the Inquisition is nothing but a ruse. There are also people who think the entire situation sounds like one of the secret chancellery's dirty deeds. One way or another, the Patriarch of Astinia and co-leader of the New Faith remain at his post. But for how long? And how will the Old Faith and New Faith clash next? Church is in schism! Woo!
So, let's go. This is...
We arrived here as a boy full of hopes and dreams. Where did our useful Eterna never became your home to me. It was a place of turmoil and disappointment. Tried to change history, but it broke us in half. All of our hopes
and
are buried.
threw us away.
All of our hopes are buried here, and we must leave this city behind. Hands clenched into things. We must live two lives: a public life as owner of a print shop, and a secret life as a spy for the Chancellery. This is the only path fate has in store for you now. Humility and hard work are the strength of the common folk. Each new blow brings less pain and teaches you to get it back more quickly. All you have to do is walk this path without showing weakness. but we strayed from the path of humility and graduated from the school of hard knocks. We learned to lie and manipulate others to so basically we learned how to be Jews. But what are we going to do now? Will we accept our roles in schemes, or will it this is going to get taken down off of YouTube, or will you have what it takes to find another way and scheme our own?
Secret Sneedlery.
Many things must have changed back home by now. You recalled Gloria particularly fondly, the way she used to rebel all the time, defy her lot. She always fought hard for herself, no matter what other people of the law said. She was the only one who supported us on our decision. We have to find a gift for her. We buy her a book in Anizate.
And we're going to not just buy her a book, we're going to pretty much buy Mein Kampf for her.
Yes. Well, or we're
because
buying, we're buying Paradise.
Because,
we're buying Paradise Lost for her.
No, we're buying a book of his poems, the poetry of Char Milanidas, who was this universe's magical Hitler, who killed a bunch of people, and there's ruins of him, and he was a mage. And in fact, the strangest thing is that his dynasty still is part of the ruling elite. Still his people, with his surname. So Homecoming, and we're gonna stop here. All right.
The years of your youth have come to an end. The time has come to leave the capital behind and return to we're gonna stop. I just want to read this. Hit continue.
That's all right. Go ahead.
The years away from home were full of tumult and hardship. Your adult shoulders now bear the burden of your first life-changing decisions. Did you have the freedom to choose this lot for yourself, or was it your destiny all along, ever since your childhood years? All you can do now is follow the path that lies before you. And yep, here's the review of our youth. The very Faustian picture right here of us looking at the capital. We basically said, evil be thou my good, and did everything that was interesting. All of our skills have very much been honed, and we are going to instead of continuing, we are going to quit to main menu. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for joining. Thank you for joining me.
Well, before we thank everyone for joining, Cringe Walker, tell us feedback. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about it from game mechanics, how I could probably do something like this in Godot. It's a fun. I was a fan of choose your own adventure books as a kid, and this is bringing back some of those vibes. Did
you just call Go Do It Godot?
Godot, the game engine.
But it's pronounced as Go Do It.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, because it's literally
it is a French gaming company. It is therefore pronounced Godot.
Oh, that's so stupid, because cadeau is a gift in French.
Yeah.
No way. I thought it was going to be Go Do It, because it's the easiest one to learn.
There's no IT at the end. It's Go dot.
Hey, okay, well, Cringe Walker, it's
a fun game engine it's a fun coding engine to make games in, and this is making me want to make something like that.
Well, what about our stream? What do you think?
It was fun discussing history and being a spurg.
Yeah.
I mean, not
would you be able to help me with my own AI project if I write to you about it?
Probably, maybe.
Okay. Well, let's see. It's highly unusual, but it's very fun, and very cool. Sneeder. So thank you for coming here, man.
And thank you all for listening, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate all of you. And we will be back next week, hopefully once again at the usual time, early in the morning. I don't know if Cringe.
See if we can get Joe Biden on the stream.
Yes, that's our
Sleepy Joe.
Yeah.
Biden the Black.
But I hope all of you have a very good evening, and
bye bye,
and rest in peace to Mr.